Shri UC Nahata ji, Director Inspection and Investigation, and recently selected as Director General to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and our chief guest to this inaugural session, Shri Harish Vaidji, Vice President ICSI and our guest of honor, Shri MS Sahu ji, Secretary ICSI, Mr. Deepak Kukreja, Chairman NIRC, Mr. Shyam Agarwal, Vice Chairman, Mr. Atul Mittal, Central Council Member, Shri P.K. Mittal ji, Central Council Member, my colleague on the Council, Mr. Bajaj, Mr. Manish Gupta, senior members of the profession, chapters, and their officials and participants taking part in this seminar through webcasting. A very good morning to all of you. On behalf of NIRC of ICSI, it is my proud privilege to welcome you all at the inaugural session of this one-day seminar on the very apt topic, the topic of the time, you can say, when the new bill is into picture, new act is in the picture, that is governance, fraud and offences under the Companies Act 2013. To grace this important occasion, we have with us Shri Nahata ji, Shri Harish Vaidji, Shri Sahu ji has also agreed to give his special address on the topic. We are indeed thankful to our chief guest of honors and Sahu ji for sparing their valuable time and to be with us in this morning and accepting our request to be the guest of this morning. May I request Mr. Deepak Kukreja, Chairman NIRC, to please present a flower bouquet to Shri UC Nahata ji to welcome him. Now may I request Mr. Shyam Agarwal to please present a flower bouquet to Shri Harish Vaidji. We welcome you, sir. I also request Shri Atul Mittal ji to please present a flower bouquet to Shri Sahu ji. Please, sir. Sir, Mittal sir, please. Aye na. Please. Please. Now I invite the dignitaries on the dais, chief guest of honor, Sahu ji, and my colleague of the dais to please light the lamp. Friends, recently enacted Companies Act 2013 is a landmark piece of legislation and is likely to have far-reaching consequences on the companies incorporated in India or to be incorporated in India. While Companies Act 1956 to some extent was not fulfilling the need of the hour, the challenges which were available or were before all of us were not met. This act, while promises a lot of initiatives, substantially increase the standards of the governance on the one side. On the flip side, it placed the thrust on the responsibilities and liabilities of the board members, management, as well as the professionals associated with the company. We company secretaries are the indispensable part of the corporate sector. And the way this bill has recognized we company secretaries, we have to gear up and prepare ourselves. I was just going through the message given by Honorable Minister Corporate Affairs, Sri Sachin Pilas. Yesterday evening we just received that for the state conference proposed to be held into Rajasthan. He has very categorically given a message that we company secretaries has to shoulder the responsibilities, as a lot of opportunities has been given. At the same point of time, we have to take the responsibilities also. Friends, today's seminar has accordingly been designed, and the topic are almost new to all of us. The kind of the topic we are going to discuss and deliberate today, I think are the new one, never being touched. I'm indeed thankful to our chief guest for helping us in meeting the ministry officials for the dissemination of the informations, primarily relating to the few of the provisions which has not been discussed and debated, like governance, like scrutiny, inspections, investigations, fraud, offenses, adjudication of the offenses. So many new topics have been designed today. So if I take you through the program sheet, in the first technical session, which we will start after the inaugural session, we will discuss and deliberate on governance, initiatives under this bill, and accountability. In the same time, we will have another topic, that is scrutiny, inspection and investigation. Mr. Pawan Vijay will be taking on the governance, initiatives and accountability, and Mr. Manmohan Juneja, Registrar of Companies, has kindly agreed to take this very important topic, inspection, scrutiny and investigation, the technical aspect. In the second technical session, we are having with us Mr. Barua, the director from the Serious Fraud Investigation Office, and he will be taking this first ever topic, I think, which will be discussed and deliberated on the role, powers and functions of the SFIO. We will also have, in the second technical session, Sri S.B. Gautamji, who will be taking of compounding of offenses, and Mr. Manmohan Juneja has also been requested to join him in taking adjudication of the offenses. This is a new concept under the Companies Act, and we have to work a lot on these topics. So friends, I believe in the presence of eminent faculties, the expert of the subject, regulators itself who are going to implement this act, it will be worthy one for all of us. You will be present in the seminar, who's the day. I also welcome Mr. Manmohan Juneja, Registrar of Companies, who just joined us. It will be worthy one. I request all of you to be please present in the second technical session also, because usually we have noticed after the lunch, there is a challenge, you know. So I request humbly to you, look at the topic, look at the faculties they are coming. This is something which will give the bread and butter to us, will give us the way ahead. Then only we can fulfill the expectation whatever, you know, institute has from us as a governance professionals, and the regulators have from us as accountable professional, because the time is changing. Governance to accountability, very thin line. Now we have to understand that thin line and how to meet the challenges. With this, I once again extend a very hearty welcome to all of you, and I request Mr. Deepak Kukreja, Chairman and NIRC, to please give his welcome address. Thank you.
Chief Guest Shri Jusi Nahata, Director Inspection and Investigation. Now he is Director General in the rank of Additional Secretary MCA. Shri Harish Vaid, Vice President and Guest of Honor of today's seminar. Shri M.S. Sahau, Secretary ICSI. Central Government members, Mr. Atul Mittal, P.K. Mittal. Past Chairman, Mr. Rajiv Bajaj. My council colleague, Mr. Manish Gupta, Ashu Gupta, Vineet Chaudhary. Mr. Manmohan Juneja, Registrar of Companies. Senior members, professional colleagues, invitees, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is indeed a great honor and privilege for me to extend very warm welcome to Shri UC Nahata, Shri M.S. Sahau, Mr. Harish K. Vaid, and all the guests of the day who, despite of their very busy schedule, have accepted our invitation to grace this seminar. I, on behalf of the Northern India Regional Council of ICSI, extend a very cordial welcome to all of you in today's seminar on the topic governance, fraud and offences under the Companies Act 2013. I also thanks to all the chapter chairmen who have arranged this program to be watched by the chapter through webcasting. Friends, for a country, equitable and sustainable development, governance mechanisms are needed across the board, from a nation, education and health system to a financial system and companies. Governance is needed to mitigate climate change and to effectively manage land and natural resources. Governance is also needed for the global system that is tasked with deciding on and monitoring the development commitment in the country. Where governance is effective and just, it provides a solid base for economic, environmental and sustainability. For these positive steps to happen, governance must be composed of key reinforcement pillars such as transparency, accountability, integrity and participation. These elements establish a governance framework for transformative change. They serve to unlock the positive and empowering forces of governance for the social good. Company secretaries are playing vital role in ensuring good governance in the corporate. As you all are aware that under the new Companies Act, the company secretaries are put under the bracket of key managerial personnel and will be held responsible for compliances of relevant law applicable to that companies. The Companies Act 2013 contains stringent provisions for non-compliance and provision relating to corporate frauds. A new investigation procedure has also been provided under Section 201 and 229 of the Companies Act 2013. The new Act also provides statutory backing to SFIO under Section 211 of the Companies Act 2013. Keeping in this mind, for preparing and sensitizing our members on the provisions of governance, fraud and offences prescribed under the new Companies Act, NIRC has planned to organize this seminar. At NIRC, it is our focus to provide ample opportunity to our members to keep them updated. At this forum, I wish to acknowledge the thanks to Mr. UC Nahata for, designing this program. We visited his office twice with Vineet. He helped us all in possible manner in guiding and designing the program along with Mr. Juneja. I thank you, Mr. Juneja, for designing this program. I am confident that by listening to rich deliberation of learned speakers on such a relevant topic, our professional community will be greatly benefited and will avail this occasion as an opportunity to prepare themselves to provide quality services to the industry and regulators. I sincerely look forward for your suggestions for further betterment on the activities of NIRC and upgradation of the profession. Dear friends, this is the last seminar of this calendar year. I wish you a happy new year and to all you and your dear ones. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now I request Mr. Atul Mittal, was Central Council member, to please give his address.
Thank you, Vineet. Good morning to all of you, respected dignitary on the dais, Chief Guest, Mr. Nahta, Sahu Saab, Harish Bhai, Shyam, Vineet, Rajiv, Manish, and our Central Council member, Mr. P.K. Mittal, and other senior members of the profession and upcoming budding family members. Friends, the topic which has been chosen is what? Governance, fraud, offences under the Companies Act. Of course, there has to be some governance. If governance is not there, definitely fraud is there. If the fraud is there, offence is being conducted, contravention is being there. If the contravention is there, inspection investigation is bound to be done. Investigation is bound to be done. Whosoever the person behind the fraud need to be penalized. I believe the new Companies Act, you must have listened to the statement of Honorable Minister also. Yes, there are a number of companies which taught us a great lesson to make this new Companies Act in such a manner so that whatever the fraudulent exercise has been taken place in past is to be considered, is to be seen in a more effective manner. I was reading the entire Companies Act, then realized how the steps has been taken, not only at the time of incorporation of the company, by way of whosoever is the subscriber to the capital of the company or the memorandum, is taking a statement, he was not engaged in any fraudulent transaction. First stage is over. Second, operational part, when the company is being run by the directors, run by the chief executive officer, CFO, company secretaries, provisions has been made. Whenever they are making such kind of default by way of fraudulent transaction with an intention to defraud the public or the company or the shareholder or the stakeholders, definitely they are responsible for that. Not only that, when the organization or the company as a whole intend to raise any fund from the public, be it in the form of a capital contribution, be it is in the form of a deposit, if they are making any misstatement, fraudulent statement, they are criminally liable. The fourth stage come. When you are raising the capital, you are getting your instrument valued by a registered valuer. Not only the internal officers, internal management, external agency also has been robbed in for the purpose of fraud transaction. They have said, look, penal provisions are there for you also. If you are valuing certain property, certain business, certain shares, you have to make sure you are giving the actual figure of the valuation. In case you are not failing to do so, then definitely you are liable for the imprisonment, liable for the penalty up to 10 lakh, and not only that, whatever the amount in addition what has been provided in subsection 3 of 129 is basically also the amount which has been incurred or raised from the public. You are also equally responsible for that, and whatever the damages has been occurred on account of providing the fictitious figure at the time of valuation. Let's take another step. Auditors, external agency, independent person who has been designed, who has been considered by the Government of India through Companies Act. Look, you are the person who is, apart from the management, that is the board of director or the key managerial personnel, you are the person who are watching, endorsing the statements. They have been also made responsible for that, and the government has gone to the extent of making a visual mechanism policy for the purpose of, yes, they have to, not to the board of director, not to the promoter of the company, not to the shareholder of the company, but directly to the Government of India, they have to report for making such a, blowing the whistle, stating if there are any fraudulent transaction which is materially affecting the transaction of the business, which is to be stated and which is to be at least brought to the notice of the Government of India. And the materiality has to be defined depending upon the 2% of the net profit of the company and 5% of the turnover of the company. Not only at that stage, government has realized, look, these are the transactions which has to be bear not only at first stage, at all, across the stages wherever the company has been operated, has been governed. And SFIO has been set up for the purpose of making a fraud investigations. We are not dependent upon the external agencies or some other governing agency. Within the Companies Act itself, ROC has been empowered, NCLT has been empowered, NFR has been empowered, and other officers have also been empowered. Register of Companies has also empowered, and all the other agency has been empowered for the purpose of making a suitable inquiry, inspection, investigation. I believe when the program has been designed, Vineet and the team and other team members has been kept in mind who all need to be brought for the purpose of even the inaugural or the subsequent one. Dr. Nahata, Mr. Nahata has very kindly agreed. So far he is performing a role of a Director of Inspection Investigation, of course upgraded to the level of the DG level. And when I read the name of Mr. Sahu, I said, okay, people must be thinking because of the secretary of the institute he has been called for. No, intention was different, Mr. Sahu. Since still he has root with the SEBI. He still, whenever in the council room also we talk to him, still he is feeling about the SEBI and those kind of things. We thought, since he used to be the whole time member, he has seen many fraud which has been taken place and he has taken a various decision against the fraudulent transaction. And Sahu Saab, the role we are expecting for you for the keynote that is also to take care of that part. How from the SEBI capital market perspective, note the two agencies which is actually governing those kind of stuff. A, the SEBI, B, the Companies Act. This is the objective and intention is to take care of both the initiative together, and we should have a feel and viewpoint of both the regulatory agencies. One is of course Companies Act or company law provision through Mr. Nahata, and SEBI perspective from the perspective of Mr. Sahu. With this, I conclude my address and thank you very much for inviting and thank you very much for attending such an audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mittal, for doing the another part. Mr. Mittal just told about Mr. Sahu and his SEBI knowledge, subjective things and all. But I tell you one personal thing. I happens to be in one of the meeting in which the discussion on the suggestions to be given to the ministry on the Companies Act was taking place. I literally can tell you, the way he was picking the provisions of the Companies Act, I was just looking at his face, kind of the knowledge he had, mind-blowing. Even the professional sitting, over there, having long experience under the Companies Act provisions, so many things. But the way he was picking the provisions and doing the interpretation of all these things, it was really amazing. Now, I invite Ms. Sahuji to please give his special address. I request all of you to please give a big round of applause. I'm not taking time to introduce him. Everybody know him. Please, sir.
Thank you. Respected Chief Guest, Mr. Nahata, Vice President of the Institute, CS Harish K. Vaid, other distinguished panelists on the dais, friends, fellow colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Let me make a confession. It's not that what Mr. Mittal and Mr. Chaudhary told why I have come here. I came here precisely because I was watching Comedy Nights with Kapil 3 days back. It told that somebody created a Guinness Book of Records by speaking at a stretch non-stop for full 5 minutes. So then, people are wondering how can it happen? We all speak 5 minutes, 7 minutes, Kapil himself speaks also. But there is a rider to that, was that he spoke for 5 minutes at a stretch in presence of his wife. It was a different story that after 2 minutes he was no more alive. So these kind of seminars give us an opportunity to speak 10, 15, 20 minutes non-stop thanks to governance principles of such seminars. I would not be getting into the details of governance principles in the Act. We have distinguished panelists. I have seen from the schedule of the program. I will essentially try to give a very general background for these kinds of provisions. Though we are in different stages, our economies, Indian economy, elsewhere, we are in different stages of development. Some call us emerging, some latest term used is growing economies. But there is an increasing organization of economic activity. That means, quite often now, I do not weave the shirt I use, or I do not produce the law and order I enjoy, or I do not fight against social evils that I benefit from. These are done now by collective effort through government, through companies, through non-profit, non-government, non-corporate organizations. In India, we have thousands of governments. In the sense, we have Government of India, state government, and thousands of local self-governments. We have 1 million registered companies in the country, and we have 1 million not-for-profit organizations in the country. Why we get into this kind of organized activity is that, if you remember the traditional economist Adam Smith, he used to say that just to produce one alpine, at that time it was in 18th century, it had to go through 20 processes. And if one person produces that, he can produce 20 alpines in a day. But if 10 people are engaged and they are assigned different parts of that, they can produce 18,000 alpines a day. So that was the basic purpose of organized economic activity, where 1 + 1 makes 11, not 2. And the second purpose was that we, the people who create these organizations live much beyond us to serve the posterity. We disappear, but organizations continue to exist. But these kinds of organizations, I told you, 1 million NGOs, 1 million companies, thousands of governments, these are the custodian of huge resources of the country. If I look at the fiscal deficit figure of Government of India, it's mind-boggling. The market capitalization of 1,000 companies listed on National Stock Exchange is 70 lakh crore. As per the census data, 6,000 NGOs spent 1 lakh crore last year. So that is the kind of resources they have, and they are holding these resources on behalf of the society. They are in fact very powerful. Their impact goes much beyond the organization. The society hosts them. And most of the growth, what we talk about 7, 8, 9, nowadays it has come down to 3%, comes from these organized activity, particularly from the companies now. We do not get growth nowadays from agricultural sector, which contributes hardly 12, 13% to our GNP. We do not get much growth from government sector. Most of the growth comes from these companies. So these are the drivers of the economic growth. And we have been prescribing standards for governance of these units because we want these resources to be used in the best interest of the society, and society hosts them. It is not a new thing. Governance is not a new thing today. It has been there from the day we got joint stock companies. But it was so far in the kind of a commodity. When you say that the decision for a company should be taken by the shareholders in general body, that means stakeholders must decide, and when there is quorum. So this was a fundamental principle of governance, but it has been there, but it was so far a commodity. Now we started codifying it and giving the fancy name governance. It all started with Cadbury Committee of London. This essentially emanated from the securities market or securities laws. There are two fundamental principles or two strands of thought why we get into this governance. I will illustrate because we are talking in the context of companies. The same logic applies to NGOs and government also. The fundamental principle of company is that the liability of the members is limited. And by converse, the liability of the company is unlimited. And company is proxy for the society, taxpayers, environment, nature, all other stakeholders other than the shareholders and the company management. So that means if company is run in such a manner that we create Bhopal gas tragedy, we create Satyam, or we create NSEL, the burden of all these things they do comes on the society. The company with 1,000 rupees share, somebody has given 1,000 rupees, he has limited his liability up to 1,000 rupees, but he has potential to create unlimited liability on all of us. That is why we do not want him to run in a manner which benefits him or promotes his interest alone. Because whether directly or indirectly, each one of us is contributing something to that platform which runs the company. That is why we talk about all governance norms. Modern governance norms are talking about how much company cares for the vendors, for the customers, for HR people, and society, government, taxpayers, nature. The second strand is that since company is a legal person, we expect it to live forever. That is how it is always an ongoing concern. Accounting principles have developed on that premise. So we want this organization to live forever, to serve the posterity with continued prosperity. And this requires the company to remain always future ready. In terms of how does it prepare for competition from the existing competitors, from the potential competitors, competitors who are producing the similar products, how does it plan for risk management? Now we say that independent directors must take an independent review of risk management practices in a company. How much time does it devote to know the unknowns? How much of regulatory updates it takes? How much of sustainability efforts? These are the kinds of how a company remains future ready to meet the needs of tomorrow and exist for tomorrow. So all corporate governance norms, either under the SEBI Act, elsewhere you find, all these are centering around only on these two principles. Company exists forever and the liability of the company is unlimited. While we talk about the governance of the companies and NGOs and government, there are two further dimensions to this. The governance of companies is not enough to achieve the objectives unless the governance of markets is not taken care of. There are two sides to it. The market for the inputs of the companies and markets for outputs of the companies. Outputs of the companies is being to some extent taken care of the Competition Commission. Input side, particularly the capital as an input, is taken care by the securities laws. Unless markets, for example, security market is governed properly, the price signals it will generate, it will be distorted, spurious. In that case, the primary market, which is supposed to allocate resources to the best possible use, would not be able to do its function. The secondary market is more important. Secondary market generates price signals, but more importantly, it allocates the ongoing companies to best performing managers through the market for corporate control, which we call takeover. So unless we have the governance standards in these markets, the governance things in the Companies Act or securities laws is not enough. But whose baby is governance? There is a classic film, 1981 film, Whose Life Is It Anyway? There was a child who is in a coma for 12 years, not able to speak. The parents and the relatives, they are not able to tolerate the suffering the child undergoes. Doctors feel helpless. They can't revive the child. But they are not able to withdraw the life support system because the society, government, law, whatever you call it system, does not allow this to happen. So the parents, doctor, and the child, they have no say in the matter. It is a society who bothers about the life of the person. Similar is the case of company's governance. Company as a child can't speak. It does not have any mind of its own. It has no way to speak also. It speaks through somebody else. The employees, the less said the better. Nowadays you have all top management contractual appointments, they are called temps. Somebody was asked of a company which was wound up in the financial crisis, didn't you know that what you are doing would lead to collapse of your organization? He replied, yes, I knew it, but I thought this was 3 employments away from me. Talk of the shareholders. People buy shares to hold the shares for few minutes, few hours. 80% of trades on National Stock Exchange and Bombay Stock Exchange are settled by non-delivery within the same day, within few hours of the trade. We have now so much of intermediated holdings. People sit in America, in Mauritius, in London, who hold the shares through depository receipts. We have specially dispersed millions of shareholders all over the world who do not feel engaged with the company. And even though everybody knows that the value, the shares have a voting rights and voting rights has a commercial value, but many do not exercise those rights. So that is the engagement level of the shareholders and employees and company. So essentially who bothers? It is the government state. State is interested because the growth is coming from this segment. State wants prosperity of the people. So state is devoting time to develop governance principles, codes. In fact, state has entered into a competition mode. We have governance principles, voluntary code, mandatory code. MCA has come out in 2009. Then there is a code from Department of Public Enterprises. There is a code from SEBI listing agreement 49A, of which all of you are familiar. And there is a code from IRDA for insurance companies. There is a code from Reserve Bank of India for non-bank financial companies. In fact, there is a competition among the state agencies to occupy this space and excel or do better than anybody else is doing. Though these principles, corporate governance things started in the securities market, over last 20 years internationally, it started from London Stock Exchange in 1992 or so. But over last 20 years, recent 20 years, we have allowed governance principles to evolve continuously to meet the changing needs or emerging needs of the society. That is why this was generally put as a part of a listing agreement which was being amended every quarter. Now we are putting it in the company law and we know how much time it takes to make a law. I am not on the point whether it should be on securities or in companies or elsewhere. I am not on that point. I am only on the point that can't we allow the corporate governance norms to evolve? We can allow this to evolve even under the Companies Act. We don't have to specify today that the board should have one woman director. We do not know what is going to happen 5 years, 3 years hence. So why do we need to cast it in iron, which we can't change for next 10, 20 years? Why can't these standards be made through rules under the Companies Act instead of putting it under the statute? And the most important thing, I think, I am finishing my 15, 20 minutes time which I got. The most important is that the governance courtesies should begin from whom? The state itself must demonstrate that I am the most well-governed entity. Central government, state government, Minister of Corporate Affairs, Minister of Economic Affairs, Finance, all must be the examples of governance. So also the PSUs. Quite often we build all these structures we have built, but we do not have an agency which monitors, which facilitates, which enforces governance norms. In 2007, SEBI issued show cause notices to about 30 companies for failure to comply with corporate governance norms. But it didn't pursue them because some of the notices were public sector undertakings. So then why have you created the regulators? Why do you create the rules and regulations and say that all are at par? So courtesy, if we want companies to follow corporate governance, courtesy must begin from home. It should start from government itself and PSUs, and they should be the leading examples of corporate governance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your lively address on the fundamentals of the governance and economy, as well as the role of the company in the growth of economy and society as a whole. Thank you very much, sir. Now, I invite our guest of honor, Sri Harish Vaidji. Harish Vaidji need no introduction within the fraternity. I request all of you to please give a big round of applause for him. Please, sir.
Shri Nahata ji, Chief Guest of the Day, Shri Sahu ji, my council colleagues, Mr. P.K. Mittal, Mr. Atul Mittal, Chairman of NIRC, Mr. Deepak, Shyam Agarwal ji, Vineet Chaudhary ji, past Chairman of NIRC, my other dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, and friends. At the outset, I will say that I am very happy to observe the continuous activism of NIRC in updating the knowledge of our members. After listening to the special address of Sahuji, And also after going through the, if I can say, itineraries of today's journey, the topics chosen and the learned speakers, I thought to myself that let me not talk about the topic at all. Let me be slightly different. Let me try to cover up the challenges before our profession, which have been thrown by changing economic and regulatory environment. And I'm sure with our continued efforts, with the help of our friends in the regulatory framework, our friends like Nahata ji, like Juneja ji, like many others, I'm sure we'll be able to have a trouble-free ride and will achieve our objective. If we see the challenges which are before the profession and the causes for that, it's very interesting and well known to all of us. The challenges coming from various changes in the statutes and regulations, be it changes in the Companies Act, banking laws, insurance, IPR, cyber laws, capital market related laws, challenges relating to rapid changes and advancement in technology, XBRL, IFRS, ERP, CRM, GRC, increasing corporate frauds, which are questioning the credibility of professions and professionals. And I think we are also going to be very cautious about the changing environment and the challenges before us. By every unearthing of any fraud, I think the focus gets shifted to governance, focus gets shifted to the professionals, besides the corporate sector as such, besides the persons who are benefited from those frauds. Definitely focus goes to the professions also. So therefore we have to be very careful about that. This perhaps the hallmark of today, and perhaps the solution lies in self-regulation and transparency. These are the hallmarks of the hallwords of today's context and the need of the hour. The new methods and concepts of learning and professional development are emerging. We are definitely from the institute side are trying to understand, address them and adopt them. They will be unfolded in due course of time. There is huge expectation from company secretaries for value creation. Gone are the days when company secretaries used to perform a limited role. They are no more fit for that role, if I can say so. When I say they are no more fit, I mean that the expectation has gone much beyond that. The expectation of corporate has gone much beyond that. Expectation of regulators has gone much more than that. And we have to find out new and new areas, new and new methods, how do we do the value creation for our organizations or for regulators. I was wondering, one of the topics of today's investigations, the Director SFIO will be here. I was just wondering, during the course of the session, I'm sure the participants here will like to offer their services to SFIO. Why not? Where can we as qualified professionals contribute our might, our services in assisting them to carry out the investigations? And this is nothing new I am suggesting. Some of our members are already assisting various police departments of various states, their economic offense wings, because the police people are not so trained to investigate the affairs of the corporates at times. the complex web of companies and the modus operandi adopted by corporate sector, which our members do help them, and it is in fact happening. And I'm very happy to share with you that one of our very senior members from Chandigarh, he has brought out a very big code for the on CRPC, IPC, CRPC, and CPC for the guidance of the police department. It has been accredited as an official code circulated to all the police stations and everywhere. And why not? For the office of official liquidator, our members are already assisting, but how can we assist them in a much better way in the changing environment and context? Then we are conscious that as of now, the placement is not fully institutionalized. I think we need to do something on that as well. Engagement with industry and regulators is another challenge, and which we find today it is not adequate enough. We have to engage with the industry and regulators at the institution level to meet the challenges of the changing environment. Our access and engagement with the pool of senior industry members is again inadequate. How many senior members of the industry we are able to really assess and get engaged with them for advancement of our profession and our members. Similarly, the support for entrepreneurship in this domain is also inadequate. Demand creation is another challenge which is taken up and is being addressed. It may be from the growth of the corporate sector, new forms of business, maybe various forms are coming up, expansion within and beyond the borders, M&As, mid-market segments, and then there are various untouched, and if I can say so, virgin sectors, like very large trusts. I don't know why we always keep on thinking about corporate sector. There are very large trusts having crores and crores of money and doing a lot of work for the society. They are also, they also need the guidance of professionals like company secretary. Educational institutions, that itself has become a very big, I can say, form of business as well. Why can't we find space over there? Banking sector, you would have seen a lot is being done now. Insurance sector, other financial segments. And friends, I can only say at this, in this short time available, that the Institute is doing its best. That I can assure you. Yes, everything might not be shared with the members immediately or at a premature stage. The things, plans, everything will be rolled out, and I can only assure you, on behalf of my entire council, I'm on my own behalf and on behalf of the Institute, that once these things are rolled out, when they take a concrete shape, the position will be much more comfortable. You will find yourself much more confident to face the challenges being thrown by the changing economic environment. That I can assure you, and please do take my words on the face value. Time will prove it. I would like to share, before I conclude, I would like to share some very interesting thought which I read very recently. It says, when we are faithfully occupied in performing the acts of a wise and decent person, seeking to conform our intentions and acts to divine will, we do not feel victimized by the words and deeds of others. At worst, these words and deeds will seem ultimately amusing and pitiable. So here is the strength and conviction and humility in front of you, friends. Have full confidence in yourself, have confidence in the profession to which you belong to, and the future is yours, I can assure you. With these words, I wish you all a very, very happy and prosperous New Year. I pray to God that the New Year should be full of satisfying learning and sense of fulfillment for all my fellow professionals. Thank you very much, friends. Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. First of all, for your kind words, for the appreciation in holding all these relevant professional development programs towards the objective to prepare our members to gear up to take on the opportunities being made available under the recent corporate legislations being amended. Self-regulation and transparency is the key of the governance. Truly said, sir. And the same line, updated professional knowledge is the key to success to any professionals. And that's why the relevance of the program can only be said to be true if we really get out of it. If we learn something, if we update our knowledge, and we gear up and prepare ourselves to face the challenges which has been made available to us, and that is the only way we can lead the profession, we can lead the corporate sector to the expectations of the regulator, society, and to our own expectation what we have from the profession. Thank you, sir. Friends, now before I invite our Honorable Chief Guest, Sri UC Nahata ji, I take this privilege to briefly introduce him. Sri UC Nahata ji is presently working as Director Inspection and Investigation in the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Sri Nahata ji is qualified Chartered Accountant and as well as a Company Secretary. Joined Ministry of Corporate Affairs in the year 1982 as Assistant Registrar of Companies at Mumbai. Since then, he has worked in various senior positions such as Additional Registrar of Companies Mumbai, Joint Directors at Mumbai and Kolkata, Registrar of Companies Gujarat, Ahmedabad, Director Inspection and Investigations at Headquarters at MCA, Regional Directors across the India. You say at Kanpur, Noida, Kolkata, Ahmedabad. Presently, he is the senior most Indian corporate law service officer and has track record of fastest promotion in the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Sri Nahata ji has since been selected as first ever Director General to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs at the level of Additional Secretary to the Government of India. A big round of applause for Mr. Nahata. He is also the Chairman of the Quality Review Board of our institute since March 2012. When I'm talking about the post of Director General at Ministry of Corporate Affairs, it is new to all of us. It is the first time this post has been created, the first time somebody is being selected and is going to act as the Director General. So let me briefly tell you something about this post. The post of Director General at HAG level was created consequent upon the cadre review of the service duly approved by the DOPT. As per the duly approved proposal, DG will coordinate or to be in charge of the inspections. Kindly, I want your attention because the kind of the responsibilities has been given to this post. Kindly look into this. He will coordinate and to be in charge of inspection, investigations, public grievances, prosecutions, legal matters and registration of companies. It is also stated in the proposal duly approved by the DOPT that creation of this post will relieve the ministry of the above day-to-day functioning, and the ministry will hereinafter be looking after only relating to the policy formulation, implementation and overall monitoring. Taking into consideration all the relevant facts, the allocation of work to DG should be as under. In charge of inspections, investigation, public grievance and prosecutions. Overseeing the working of the Office of the Regional Directorates, Registrar of Companies, Officer Liquidators, including inspection of the said offices. Technical matters being looked after in CL3, CL4, CL6, CL7, insolvency and IEPF sections of the ministry. The professionals who are working into the Ministry of Corporate Affairs are very well aware with all these CL3, CL4, CL5, the working. Posting and transfer of officers up to the JAG level in consultation with administration section of the ministry. So look at the portfolio, the Director General is going to help, and Mr. Nahata is going to be the first ever Director General. I request all of you to please give a big round of applause for Sri UT Nahata ji, and I request him to please give his address to all of us.
Mr. Harish Vaid, I should say now is president in waiting rather than vice president. And Mr. Sau and Mr. Mittal, Atul Mittal, Mr. P.K. Mittal, Mr. Kukreja, Mr. Chaudhary, Mr. Agrawal, other dignitaries of the dais, representatives of the media, if any, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to all of you. I think it is a coincidence that the date of this seminar coincides with the taking over of new government, Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi, and with almost similar agenda. There also it is governance, here also it is governance, there also it is enlightened regulation, here also it is enlightened regulation. See, the topic for today's this seminar is very vibrant and very important, in fact. See, this covers a substantial, the topics for today's seminar cover a substantial portion of the provisions of the new Companies Act. First is the good governance, that is on the part of the company or the corporate sector. And another part is enlightened regulation. In fact, that covers fraud, scrutiny, inspection, investigation, everything is covered under the regulatory part. That is for the government. Another important function for the government is to provide, to become a facilitator of the corporate sector, for the growth of the corporate sector, and provide a platform for the grievance resolution. So this particular seminar would cover a substantial part of this new Companies Act. All such seminars, in fact, result in capacity building of the, first of all, the persons who are on the dais. In fact, everybody sitting has to prepare, make a lot of preparations before coming to the seminar. And for the audience also, I was seeing, in fact, Harishji sitting here also, going through his notes and this thing, that thing. So it creates awareness, capacity building for each and everybody who attends such kind of seminars. See, this Companies Act 2013, it has a very long history. In fact, we are aware that initially bill was introduced sometime in 1993, then 1997, 2002, 2009. Same bill was repeated in 2011, 12. See, this part of the bill introduced in the Parliament, I think all of you are aware what are the processes, how it passes through that channel. But I would tell you what happens afterwards. Because everybody will be curious to know why the bill introduced in Parliament in 1993 was not passed, or subsequent bills could not be passed. In fact, after the bill is introduced in the Parliament, see, it is generally referred to a select committee. See, each ministry of the Government of India, they have a committee of, say, of the members of Parliament, and see, for our ministry, it is the Committee on Finance Ministry, and that is called Select Committee. That consists of 30 members of Parliament. In fact, the present committee consists of 31 members, representing each of the parties. So the entire bill is referred to the Select Committee. That committee has 2/3 members from the Lok Sabha, 1/3 from the Rajya Sabha, representing each of the parties. The present committee, I would tell you the constitution. Mr. Yashwant Sinha is the chairman of that committee, with members, very renowned members, say from BJP, Mr. Piyush Goyal, then Mr. Nishikant Dubey, then from Congress Party, Renuka Chaudhary, from BSP, Mr. Mishra, such kind of our ex-minister, Mr. Thambi Durai, these stalwarts are the members of that committee. For, say, passing of that bill, there has to be discussion on each and every clause by clause discussion. That committee has to discuss. To replace a law with 558 sections with another law, earlier it used to contain less than about 270-75 sections. The present law contains about 470 sections with 7 schedules. So you have to justify why particular provision is going to be deleted and why a particular provision is going to be added. Divergent views are there. Views of each and every member has to be considered. These are sent to the ministry for re-examination. Those views are to be again to be incorporated wherever the government agrees. Those views are to be incorporated in the revised draft of the bill. Then again, a revised draft has to be sent to the cabinet. Entire cabinet has to take a decision on that. If after it is approved, it has to go to the law ministry. Then law ministry, then we have to seek the comments of the public also on the revised bill. Public comments are to be incorporated in the revised bill. So it takes a very long time. In fact, it is a very troublesome, very time-consuming, very laborious process. So everybody see this bill was passed by the Lok Sabha in December 2012. Rajya Sabha, sorry. No, it was passed by Lok Sabha in December 2012. Everybody was apprehensive, perhaps it may not be passed by the Rajya Sabha because the tenure was very short and the kind of the sittings which we are having every time it used to means the house used to be adjourned. But we are very fortunate that on that particular day of August, probably 18th of August, the Rajya Sabha sitting was there. For about 3.5 hours, discussions were there and ultimately the bill got passed. So, and it became a law. So now you have a brand new law, but see the very cumbersome procedure, it has gone through a very cumbersome procedure and after that it has come. It has so many new features. I think all of you are very familiar, well aware what are the new features in this law. So I need not repeat all those things. But there are, sufficient provisions for good governance and the enlightened regulation. As we all know, this law has been passed after a very wide, consultative process, in fact. Or rather, I should say it is a law prepared by the corporate sector for themselves. It was headed, the committee was headed by Mr. Irani. He comes from the corporate sector with representative from all this industry associations, professional bodies, SEBI, RBI. Only one member of that committee was from our ministry. But the rest all it was by the corporate sector only. Still, see, this law may contain so many, drafting errors, contradictions. In fact, they are there. What I would suggest, that the institute, if they constitute a committee to give suggestion on this law, these are the inconsistencies, drafting errors, or self-contradictions, or any other suggestion which requires substantial amendment in the law. That also can be given to the government because it is a continuous process. This is just a 4-month-old baby. You have to nourish it. Every law takes its own time to get settled down. Even the law passed in UK in 2006, it took 6 years for them to implement the entire law. It was implemented only in 2012. See, basically this law means it is, so many approvals are being done away with, and it is the corporate democracy on the principles of corporate democracy. For example, the present law, the 1956 Act required for related parties approval of the central government. It is totally being done away with. Now it is the shareholders with proper disclosures, you have to approve it. So it is for you to decide. Ultimately it is the shareholders' interest which is going to be affected. You decide for yourself. For good corporate governance, there are so many provisions. In fact, more and more disclosures, then independent directors, grievances committee of the directors, audit committee, rotation of auditors, that is a very important provision. Then shareholders relationship committee, duties of the directors have been defined in the law itself for the first time, though there are so many cases right from, say, very inception, but duties have been also defined in this present act, duties of the directors. Then there are so many provisions for the small and the medium entrepreneurs. For the first time, there is a concept of one-person company. In fact, the one-person company means they will have the limited liability. I think, thanks, no problem. Achha. See, there are certain other countries where there is a, here we have registrar of companies, but in other countries they have registrar of business, where all means companies, partnership firms, individual proprietorship concerns are also registered, and that is only one registry. Here we have so many others also that you have to register, get it registered with shops and establishment, income tax, sales tax, VAT, this, so many other agencies are there. But if that single registry is there, that I think curtails all the procedures, and this is there in so many other countries. So this also model can be implemented because our India country is a very vast country. So it may not be that easy, but efforts can always be made. An institute can also suggest that. Then there is a concept of a small company also for the first time. Now coming to this, these seminars, this topic that scrutiny and inspection. So scrutiny and inspection were there in earlier act also, in this act also it is there. Investigation, next is investigation. Investigation means the Serious Fraud Investigation Office. That statutory recognition is being given to this office for the first time. And the Serious Fraud Investigation Office, they will have very vast powers in fact. Power to arrest also is there. Then search and seizure, then freezing of assets, all such powers are there. And this has become necessary taking the experience in the past that so many persons have cheated to the public, and then public having cheated it, the confidence of the investor is, means in the, there is at stake as far as the corporate sector is concerned. So it was very necessary. There are provision for small shareholders, class action suits, and so now shareholders can unite and file the cases in the courts. Now next topic is the offences under the Companies Act, under this present act. So basically, as usual for all the defaults, earlier act also penal provisions were there. This act also penal provisions are there. But there is a substantial difference between the penal provisions. First, that amount of penalty has been considerably reduced. And second and more important is that almost everywhere, now the minimum penalty has been provided. In the earlier act, the penalty may be up to such and such, there was no minimum penalty except few sections. So this will become a deterrent for those who violate the law. Then next is compounding of the offences. So it was there earlier act also, it is there in the present act also, with some difference that say besides this compounding, there is a provision for adjudication by the registrar of companies appealable to the regional director. This is a new provision, this is an in between. In fact, compounding, then adjudication, then filing, then in the courts where the special courts are proposed to be constituted to reduce the, for expeditious disposal of the cases. As we know that cases in the magistrate courts, they take a very long time and that becomes a reward for those who violate the law. Then there is a provision for conciliation panel also. Conciliation panel, that is more or less like arbitrators, so to settle the disputes. But there is a provision in the Act which was not there in the earlier law. Corporate social responsibility, that is there. I think all of you are very well aware. Then the reliance on this thing, CS profession, that has also been considerably increased. Certification, that was there earlier also, but it is there in earlier, but there now company secretary has been included as a key managerial personnel. Then secretarial audit also for the first time of some of the companies, a specified class of companies, it would become essential. Then the very important part for the CS profession would be that now the CS, they can appear before the National Company Law Tribunal. And National Company Law Tribunal means all the powers presently which are being exercised by the High Courts are being transferred to the National Company Law Tribunal. Liquidation, amalgamation, mergers. In case of High Courts, CS were not entitled to appear. But here, in case of NCLT, company secretaries are entitled to appear. So that will increase the scope of the professionals quite a lot. Even say they can become members of the this thing, NCLT also. Already posts have been advertised. They are eligible also to apply. There are a number of new authorities coming like NEFRA, National Financial Reporting Authority, then National Company Law Appellate Tribunal. There is a concept of registered valuers also. I think company secretaries can become registered valuers also. So anyway, we have the very learned faculty today who will enlighten you all, say, the provisions in greater detail. And I hope all of you will take full advantage of the persons who are not so easily available also. Mr. Juneja is sitting here. Mr. Barua would be coming. Mr. Gautam also is there. So I hope, and then Mr. Pawan Vijay also is there. So they are very learned faculty. So I hope all of you will take full advantage of that. I wish this program, this seminar, a grand success, and wish all of you a very happy and prosperous New Year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your address on the Making of Companies Act 2013 and conceptual framework of the various provisions under this new legislation. And thank you very much, sir, for all your help and blessings in designing and requesting all these big faculties to this program. Actually, this will do our job and duty to disseminate the informations for the members to build up their capacity. Thank you very much. No? I request my colleague on the Council and Treasurer, NIRC, Mr. Manish Gupta, to please come forward and arranging presentation of awards, mementos and certificates to the winners of Research Paper Competition 2013 and mementos to the judges of the research paper competition, please.
Thank you, Vineet. Respected dignitaries, Mr. Nahata, Chief Guest, Mr. Harish Vaid, Vice President ICSI, Mr. Sahu, Secretary ICSI, Mr. Deepak Kukreja, Chairman NIRC, my colleagues Vineet, Shyam, past Chairman Rajiv Ji, Madan Sahab, ROC, Mr. Manmohan Juneja, learned members, senior members, my dear friends, very warm good morning to all of you. This year, 2013, Research Publication Committee has announced a competition of research publication, and we invited entries for our members in 2 categories with an objective to enhance the skills and knowledge of our members and with an idea to share their views and expression on different topics and to share the same with our all members. 2 categories were designed in such a manner. First category was relating to general laws, competition laws and practice, foreign trade policies, SME and their listing, legal compliances, commodity exchange, and working profile of company secretaries in smaller towns and cities. Category 2 was designed for Companies Act 2013, and topics were secretarial audit, class action suits, NAFRA, NCLT and NCLAT, board and shareholding by use of information technologies, CSR, and investor protection. This year we have received an overwhelming response from our members, and we have received almost 50 entries in both the categories. All eligible entries were then forwarded to our panel of judges. Each panel has 3 judges. They evaluated each and every paper and marked the marks to each paper. Then the average of marks, all 3 marks were decided in accordance with the criteria formulated by the Research and Publication Committee. Let me invite the winners of category 1. Second prize goes to Samuna Mujumdar, CS Samuna Mujumdar, on the topic SME listing, SME and its listing. Samuna is here. Request Samuna to come forward and receive a cash prize of 5,000 along with certificate and memento from our chief guest, Mr. Nahata. Big round of applause. CS Chanchal Sharma, she got the 3rd prize in category 1. Chanchal Sharma. Winners in category 2, Jitendra Singh on the topic CSR. Jitendra Singh, I think he is not there. Second award goes to Mansi Sachdeva. Jitendra is here. Big round of applause for Jitendra. Mansi Sachdeva, she got the 2nd prize. 3rd prize goes to Rency George. She is not available right now. Big round of applause for all the awardees. We also have with us our panel of judges who have evaluated the articles on behalf of NIRC. May I invite Mr. J.K. Badeja, Mr. P.K. Rustagi, Mr. Ajay Garg, Mr. Ravi Narayan Kar, and Mr. Manoj Sharma to kindly come forward and please accept our respect and small memento from the hands of our chief guest and guest of honor. Mr. S. Narayanan was also in the panel of judges. He is not available right now. A big round of applause to all the awardees and panel of judges. I would also like to thank my committee members, Research and Publication Committee members, for sparing their valuable time in formulating the policies relating to this competition, and all NIRC members for reposing their trust and confidence in the Research and Publication Committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. And thank you, Manish. Now, in the absence of Mr. Avtar Singh, Chairman MSOP, I take this opportunity for arranging presentation of mementos to the best presenters and the participants of 182nd and 83rd MSOP organized by the NIRC. So, may I read the name? The awardees may come forward, please. For 182nd MSOP, Mahesh Kumar. Sweta Sinha. Best participants. The best presenters category, Benjamin Alexander and Juhi Garg. Please come forward. For 183rd MSOP, best participants, Ashish Jain, Savita Dahiya, Sumit Garg. Please. Best presenters for 183rd MSOP, Jatin Sahani and Sumit Garg again. Now I request Mr. Shyam Agarwal, Chairman, Vice Chairman NIRC, to please come forward and I request Mr. Shyam Agarwal to please come forward for the presentation of memento and vote of thanks to our guests. Please.
एक बार एक गांव में गांव वाले बड़े परेशान होते हैं, एक मगरमच्छ आ गया उनके तालाब में। तो गांव वालों ने डिस्कशन किया, भाई इस मगरमच्छ का क्या करे। गांव के लोगों को बड़ा परेशान किया उस मगरमच्छ ने, क्रोकोडाइल ने। तो उन्होंने पंचायत तक मामला गया। भाई पंचायत ने कहा कि चूंकि इस मगरमच्छ बड़ा परेशान कर रहा है गांव के लोगों को, तो एक चौकीदार, सिक्योरिटी गार्ड अपॉइंट कर देते हैं, तो जब भी वो मगरमच्छ आएगा वो उसको मार देगा। तो गांव वालों ने कहा भाई ठीक है। पंचायत ने कहा सिक्योरिटी गार्ड अपॉइंट कर दो। गार्ड अपॉइंट हो गया, लेकिन 2 महीने निकल गए, 4 महीने निकल गए, 1 साल निकल गया, लेकिन वो मगरमच्छ मरा नहीं। गांव वालों ने कहा भाई क्या है इसका मतलब, गार्ड अपना काम प्रॉपरली कर नहीं रहा है, इसलिए मगरमच्छ मरा नहीं, कुछ न कुछ तो बदमाशी है। फिर पंचायत हुई, फिर डिस्कशन हुआ, तो डिसीजन हुआ कि भाई गार्ड प्रॉपरली काम कर रहा है नहीं कर रहा, इसको वॉच करने के लिए गार्ड और अपॉइंट कर देते। तो सबको अच्छा लगा, भाई ठीक है भाई ये गार्ड और अपॉइंट कर देते हैं। उन्होंने गार्ड और अपॉइंट कर दिया। 2 या 3 या 4 दिन बाद जो नया गार्ड अपॉइंट हुआ था, वो क्या देखता कि मगरमच्छ क्रोकोडाइल तो आ रहा है, लेकिन पुराना वाला गार्ड कुछ नहीं कर रहा है। तो उसने कहा भाई तू तो बदमाशी कर रहा है, अपनी ड्यूटी प्रॉपरली नहीं निभा रहा है, तेरे को इस मगरमच्छ को, क्रोकोडाइल को मारना चाहिए। तो जो पुराना वाला गार्ड नए वाले गार्ड को क्या कहता है कि भाई देखिए बेवकूफी की बातें मत कर, फालतू की बातों से कोई लेना देना नहीं है, ये क्रोकोडाइल है इसलिए मेरी जॉब है, मेरी जॉब है इसलिए तेरी जॉब है। सो फ्रेंड्स, आई होप you got what this story tried to convey, and I think this is what some sort of sense of this inaugural session also, because although the provisions are there in Companies Act regarding fraud in governance and everything, other laws are also there, but one thing that we have to focus, keep in our mind, is our mindset, our own mindset. mindset कि ठीक है चीजें तो चलती रहेगी. We have to change our own mindset. We have to find out our own role and responsibility, how we as a professional could change the mindset of our society, regulators, industry. So I hope, not taking much, I hope during the session, during the seminar, we'll discuss on these aspects also. Apart from the this provisional aspects, we'll discuss on these aspects also, I hope so. So with these words, on behalf of NIRC and you all, I would like to convey our sincere thanks to Mr. Nata, our Vice President, Mr. Harish Ved, Mr. Sahu, for being with us and sharing their expertise knowledge on the subject, guiding us and advising us how we move ahead. Sir, thank you so much for being with us. And friends, in fact, I feel indeed we are fortunate to have a bureaucrat like Mr. Nata, administrator like Mr. Sahu, and dynamic professional leader like Mr. Bed, who are always here, there to support, willing to contribute their personal time and talent, not only for the betterment of our profession, but also for the betterment of society and for the betterment of country. My special thanks, our special thanks to Mr. Nata for supporting us, for advising us to design the program. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us. Friends, may I now request our senior member, Professor G.P. Gupta, to present a memento to Mr. Nata for being with us and to supporting us, sir. A big round of applause to Mr. Nata. Thank you so much. And now I request all of you for a tea break and we'll all reassemble after 15 minutes. Thank you.